So, we all have that inner monologue, don't we?
Oh, definitely. The one that wants to grab the credit.
Right. And bristles a bit when criticized.
Yeah, maybe exaggerates our own importance just a tad.
Exactly. So today we're really zeroing in on that often sneaky inner adversary, our ego.
And our guide for this is Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy.
Yeah, and what's great about it, it's not just theory, is it? Holiday uses this amazing mix of history, sports, literature, philosophy.
He really does, to build this powerful case that, well, unchecked ego, it's a huge roadblock.
To ambition, to keeping success going, and importantly, getting through failure.
And what hits you right away is how universal this is. You know, ancient leaders, modern CEOs.
It's the same pattern.
It really is. Austin Kleon mentions Bill Hicks joking about the world being tainted with fevered egos.
Yeah.
And Holiday, like Kleon, suggests the antidote is, well, humility.
But not like being a doormat humility.
Yeah. No. More like a grounded self-awareness. And the book cleverly lays this out across 3 stages where ego really flexes its muscles.
Right. When we're aspiring.
Huh?
When we actually achieve some success.
And inevitably when we fail or stumble.
Exactly.
So our mission here in this deep dive is really to pull out the most useful, actionable stuff from Holiday's work.
Yeah, help you get a sharper sense of how your own ego might be working.
And give you some real strategies to manage it for, growth. Personally, professionally.
Just consider it like the streamlined version.
Yeah.
We want those aha moments, but without feeling like you're drowning in info.
We've tried to boil it down to the core ideas, the examples that really stick with you. Okay, so let's get into it. When Holiday talks ego, it's broader than just like being arrogant, isn't it?
Oh, much broader, yeah. In the book's sense, ego is this deep-seated self-absorption.
Okay.
An over-the-top focus on our own stuff, our own importance, and this like constant need for outside approval, that craving for validation.
Exactly. It's the part of us whispering, we need to be superior, special, seen.
And it's subtle sometimes.
Very subtle. How we react attentively to feedback, maybe focusing on looking good over being good.
Or hating to admit we messed up.
Right. And the book argues this inflated self, it's really at the root of a lot of our troubles.
Okay. And the structure. Aspire, success, failure. Let's start with aspire. How does ego trip us up right at the beginning, when we're just starting out?
This is where it can be really, really sneaky. Early on, ego often pushes impatience.
Like, I deserve this now.
Yeah, that sense of entitlement and this urge to, shout our big plans from the rooftops instead of just quietly doing the work.
Putting in the foundations.
Right. Think way back, ancient Greece. Isocrates telling the young guy Demodocus, basically, hey, ambition's fine, but modesty, justice, self-control, that's what looks good on you.
Timeless advice.
It really is. Because that ego-driven ambition, it tends to jump the gun, skip the important, boring steps.
Wants the glory without the grind.
Precisely. Ego wants that validation now. So we talk about the goal, instead of doing the quiet, often invisible work to get there.
It's like imagining the applause before the performance. The book has that great contrast with General Sherman.
Yeah, William Tecumseh Sherman. Fascinating case. Here's a clearly capable guy.
Very capable.
But he was apparently fine being Grant's number 2 in the Civil War. Even turned down higher rank.
That's wild, especially back then. You'd think ego would demand the top spot.
You would. But Sherman seemed to grasp that the main thing winning the war was bigger than his personal rank or fame.
The mission came first.
Exactly. His ego didn't get in the way of figuring out what was most effective. He even warned a buddy about glittering flattery.
Knew it was a trap.
Yeah, understood how praise puffs up the ego and distracts you from the actual job. The real takeaway there is true ambition isn't always about being the boss.
It's about getting the job done.
That's it. A powerful example of ego taking a backseat to purpose.
And then there's that story about Upton Sinclair running for governor in California.
Oh, right. The book he wrote before the election.
Yeah, governor of California.
I mean, talk about putting the cart before the horse.
It's almost like writing it, living it in his head, just scratch the ego itch enough.
That it killed his drive to actually, campaign and win.
Seems like it, and he lost badly.
It's such a clear example of how performing ambition can replace the real work.
And we see that today, don't we, with social media?
Totally. The constant updates, the pronouncements, calls it the empty text box.
Yeah.
Emily Goode talked about struggling with her novel because she was so caught up in, managing her online persona.
She wasn't actually writing.
Exactly. The big insight is ego tricks us. It makes us think talking about stuff is the same as doing stuff.
Staging the success before earning it. It reminds me of that Marlon Brando quote about the void being terrifying.
Yeah, that uncertainty.
It's like all the talk, the hype. It's a way to avoid facing that scary blank page, the real hard work.
Absolutely. Doing anything worthwhile involves struggle, right? Uncertainty. It's not usually glamorous, not right away.
Definitely not.
Which leads to that crucial question from Colonel John Boyd in the book. To be or to do?
Ah, right. Is the goal to be someone important?
Chasing the title, the status, the money.
Or is it to do something that actually matters?
Purpose becomes the key difference maker there. Like Frederick Douglass said, a man is worked upon by what he works on. Your focus shapes who you become.
So the actionable thing is define your purpose beyond just getting pats on the back.
Exactly, to stay grounded when things get tough or uncertain.
There's also that story about Kirk Hammett joining Metallica.
Oh yeah, great one. Imagine that. Suddenly you're in like one of the biggest bands on earth.
The temptation to think I've made it must be huge.
Immense. But the book points out he kept this student mindset, humble, focused on learning even then.
That's key.
It's a great reminder that big achievements often come after, quote, long periods of obscurity, where you just put your head down and learn.
So even when you get a win, stay a student. Keep growing, don't just congratulate yourself.
That humility, that hunger to learn, it's crucial. And the book also digs into the danger of passion without purpose and a dose of realism.
Right. You see these examples, endeavors fueled by huge passion.
But maybe not enough clear thinking, like the Iraq War example, or Christopher McCandless in Alaska.
Robert Scott in Antarctica, even the Segway hype, initially.
Yeah, strong beliefs, passion even, but maybe missing a grounded look at reality or other viewpoints.
Which contrasts sharply with John Wooden's coaching style. The book calls it dispassionate.
Yeah, not uncaring, but not driven by emotion. His focus was process, discipline, fundamentals.
Which highlights that difference the book makes between passion like, I am so passionate about X.
Right. Versus purpose, I must do Y.
Purpose feels more external.
It is. It shifts the focus off you and onto the bigger goal, which ties into the canvas strategy.
Okay, explain that one.
It's the idea that sometimes the best way to reach your goals is to actually help other people reach theirs.
Like make them look good. Do the background work.
Exactly. Think Ben Franklin writing anonymously or Bill Belichick mastering film study.
Yeah.
They were adding value, making the whole thing better without needing the spotlight immediately.
So focus on contributing, not just collecting credit. That keeps the ego down and maybe counterintuitively helps you get ahead.
That's the core idea. Powerful stuff.
Okay, so that covers how ego messes with ambition. What about when you actually achieve something, when success arrives? How does ego show up then?
Success brings a whole new level of ego traps, doesn't it?
Seems like it.
One of the biggest needs becomes serious self-restraint. Jackie Robinson is just an incredible example here.
Breaking the color barrier in baseball.
Yeah. Imagine the abuse, the racist taunts, the threats, people trying to spike him, just relentless.
Oh, that's unbelievable pressure.
And his conscious choice not to fight back, not to react in kind, but to stay laser-focused on the bigger goal. That took unbelievable ego control.
Wow. Just focusing on the mission.
The insight there is powerful. Even when provoked, keeping your eye on the larger purpose helps you resist those ego-driven reactions that could derail everything.
Keep the big picture in mind, even when your ego is screaming. The book also talks about needing to get out of your own head when you become successful.
Right. It mentions writers like Walker Percy, F. Scott Fitzgerald, who really struggled with self-absorption.
Getting lost in their own world.
Yeah, and that idea of the imaginary audience feeling like everyone's watching and judging everything you do.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. Successful people learn to tune that out. Like General George C. Marshall, huge figure in World War II, deliberately didn't keep a diary.
Really? Why not?
He worried he might start, performing for history instead of just doing the job.
Interesting. Maintaining perspective, resisting that urge to feel overly important.
Exactly. The actionable point is, as you get more successful, actively work to keep an external focus.
Right.
Don't get lost in your own head.
And then there's the danger of early pride. Even Benjamin Franklin, after some early wins in Boston, consciously checked himself.
Kept asking if success was making him vain. It's that constant self-check. Recognizing that even small wins can warp your judgment.
Yeah, asking yourself, what am I missing here? Because my ego's telling me I've got it all figured out.
That self-questioning is so important. And the book hammers home that ideas alone aren't enough. It's the work.
Right, the execution. That Degas and Mallarmé story.
Yeah, Degas saying, I have all these ideas for poems, and Mallarmé shooting back. It's not with ideas, it's with words.
Ouch. But true.
And Henry Ford. You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do.
It always comes back to the work.
Sustained success needs consistent action, hard graft, not just clever thoughts.
You think of Darwin spending decades on evolution before publishing.
Or Bill Bradley's insane practice ethic in basketball. It's the polar opposite of fake it till you make it.
Real skill comes from real effort.
And it's a long game. Sherman, again, early on, battling self-doubt, but still committed to being his best self. Quiet work, laying the foundation.
And then the idea that maintenance requires sobriety. Success isn't the finish line.
Not at all. You need ongoing vigilance against ego creeping back in. Harold Gene, the ITT guy, called egotism the worst disease for executives.
He said it blinds you.
Totally.
Yeah.
So maintaining success demands constant self-awareness, a real effort to keep that ego managed.
And the extreme example is Howard Hughes.
Right. Huge talent, early success. But the ego ran wild. Led to isolation, paranoia, a really tragic end.
A stark warning. The rebel billionaire image can hide a lot of misery when ego's in charge.
Absolutely.
Right.
And ultimately, even when you've achieved a lot, you gotta remain a student.
Always learning.
The book mentions Genghis Khan always learning from enemies, Wynton Marsalis constantly studying music. Success should spark more learning, not make you think you know it all.
So never stop being a student, no matter how much you've achieved. Stay curious.
That's the core of it.
Okay, so ego can mess up ambition. It can poison success. What about the inevitable failure? How does ego play into that?
Yeah, when things go wrong, ego often kicks into defense mode. Denial, blaming others.
Building a story to protect yourself.
Exactly. Look at Bill Walsh with the 49ers. Even after winning the Super Bowl, he knew the danger of them believing their own hype.
He focused on his standard of performance.
Right. The process, the execution details, not some grand narrative about how brilliant they were. And when they did start believing the hype,
Performance dipped.
until they got back to basics.
Yeah.
So the lesson is focus on the process, what you can control, not ego-driven stories about how great or unlucky you are.
Stick to the facts of your effort, your preparation. The book also says, when you hit a setback, ask what's truly important to you.
Yeah. Ulysses S. Grant, great general, but struggled after the war, maybe lost that inner compass.
Compared to Seneca's idea of euthymia.
Right, staying true to your path, maintaining that inner resilience no matter what's happening outside.
So when you fail, reconnect with your core values, your purpose. That gives you a stable base.
It does. But failure can also trigger nasty stuff like entitlement, control, and paranoia.
Entitlement.
Like Ty Warner, the Beanie Babies guy, thinking his brand was untouchable, blinding him to reality.
Okay. And the control, paranoia.
Yeah, the urge to micromanage, distrust everyone. Think of the contrast between Eisenhower's organized approach and John DeLorean's chaotic, ego-fueled style.
It leads to dysfunction, like Pat Riley's disease of me in teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After success, individual egos can take over. Focus shifts from the team goal to personal stuff.
Which is where someone like George Marshall stands out again. Always humble, always mission first.
A powerful counterexample. Keep the collective goal above individual ego. Always.
Even when things are genuinely out of your control, the book says our actions are still up to us.
Yeah, the Belisarius story. Brilliant general, treated terribly by the emperor, but he just kept doing his job with integrity.
Because doing the right thing was enough for him.
Seems so. His value wasn't tied to the emperor's approval.
And also understanding that trouble is temporary, failure isn't final.
Right. It's often a chance to reset, maybe even grow. J.K. Rowling's story is a classic example hitting rock bottom, but that led to Harry Potter.
The key is not giving up on your principles. Keep going.
Exactly. And the book brings in Adam Smith's Indifferent Spectator.
How does that help?
It's about trying to see your own actions objectively. Like, how would a neutral observer see this, instead of just relying on your own feelings or what others say?
Stepping outside yourself a bit.
Yeah. And finally, thinking beyond yourself helps fight ego during failure. William Randolph Hearst's reaction to Citizen Kane.
He got obsessed, right? Tried to destroy it.
And it backfired, consumed him with bitterness. The alternative is, well, compassion maybe, or just letting it go.
Don't let negativity eat you up. Evaluate objectively. Focus beyond your own hurt ego.
That's the path to navigating failure constructively.
So it really feels like the common thread through ambition, success, and failure is that difficulty is just part of the deal.
It absolutely is.
And how well we handle it comes down to managing this internal force, this ego. The book ends with that reference to What Makes Sammy Run.
Yeah, Bud Schulberg's novel.
Yeah.
A pretty stark picture of where totally unchecked ego can lead.
A cautionary tale.
Definitely. And what really sticks from the whole book is that managing ego, it's not
Yeah,
like a one-and-done thing.
No quick fix.
No, it's an ongoing practice, needs constant self-awareness, real commitment to staying humble.
Absolutely. So maybe for you listening right now, just take a second. Think about your own story, your own internal narrative. Is there maybe one part that's driven more by ego than by a clear, honest look at things?
Yeah, and what's one small shift
Uh,
in how you see things or what you do today? Could you bring in just a little more of that rock-hard humility we talked about?
it's definitely work, lifelong work managing the ego. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.